Aloha, this is Bob Kawabe, and this is my story. I was a happy-go-lucky kid with lots of freedom. I just like being outdoors, just being active. I had a lot of independence. I knew I could do anything that I wanted to. I had no fear, and if someone are doing something, I felt like, you know what, I can do that too. I don't even know how I learned to ride a bike, to be honest with you. I didn't even own one, but I just rode it. However, there was a big hole in my heart. There's a huge void. That's because I didn't have this sense of belonging. I did not live with my family in my early years. I had strangers, relatives, they raised me. When I got together with my mom, that was like the happiest day of my life. Growing up in Hawaii, family is everything. So I had an instant family. All of a sudden I had a brother, a stepfather, and at that point, my whole life changed. For the good and for not so good. Because that is when I began to hear the word no, and you cannot. And I couldn't understand. So I would ask, why? And they told me not to ask. But I'm a curious kid, wanted to know. But I got in trouble for that. The freedom I knew was taken away. All of a sudden, I was not outdoors, where I love, while I was indoors, being forced to stay indoors and to study. That was hard, but you know what? You cannot keep a free bird caged. So what do? I snuck out. I knew I was going to get in trouble. When I got back home, sure, I got beatings. But you know what? It was worth it. As difficult as it might have been for my life at that point, that really shaped to become who I am today. At that point, I knew who I was. I could do anything in life. And regardless of what my situation was, I was gonna go out and make it. It was the summer before my junior in high school. My mom took me to California, Southern California. That's when I tasted freedom again. Being that free bird, I went crazy. I surfed every day. I played a lot of basketball. I didn't have a car, so I hitchhiked all over the place. I even hitchhiked from Los Angeles to San Francisco and back by myself. And I've also met my best friend at the beach in California. Till today, is still my best friend. At that point, I knew I was back. Just after I graduated from high school, I found myself in a room. No job, no money, no food. I walked blocks and blocks and blocks looking for a job, but no one would hire me. So instead of feeling sorry for myself, I did something about it. As a result, all worked out. The lesson here is, if you want something in life, you can do anything, and I mean anything in life. You just have to go out and get it. Biggest challenge was being forced to being who I was not. I was not this inside kid that wanted to study all the time. Having the freedom taken away where I couldn't play sports. I lived to play sports. They did let me play football during the season, but other than that, I could not play anything. I love to play basketball. That is something I was very passionate about. I went to practice all the time. I knew what it took to get better, but that is something that I was not allowed to do. Even though I grew up the way I did, it really never defined who I was. Meaning that just because you're in a certain situation doesn't mean you have to live that way. So I want others to know that. Just because you're put in certain situation, you have grown up in a certain way, doesn't mean you have to be that way. You can change. I did, and it's never too late. So my early career path, what I remember was, I didn't have much, but I was very happy. I had my freedom, I had my future wife on my side, I had my own place. What more can I ask for, right? And at that stage, I was hungry. I was ambitious. I wanted to be somebody. Even though I hated to study because I was forced to, I found out that I really love learning, especially about personal growth and personal development. That's something I've studied for many years, for decades, and I still do. I even went back to college, and I did very well because I wanted to learn now. The lesson that I learned here is, be passionate about what you do and do what you're passionate about. Because when you love something, you're gonna succeed no matter what. The very first thing that happened to me was meeting my wife, Janet. And she was like the best thing that happened to me in my life. What she did for me is she gave me the purpose. She gave me the drive to take care of her. What was important for me at that point is to be independent, so I started my own business. Having my own business is all up to me. And I love it because you know what? I gotta make it happen. The key for me at this point is being able to help people, building their relationships, and serving other people by adding value. And this is the reason why I'm in a current business today, which is our virtual family office business. So what I do today is I coach business owners. It's all about having them to gain the freedom to be with those people who they love, that they care, and be able to make an impact in the life of other people. So for me, I want to help them to live their purpose in life, just like how I found mine. Some of the things I learned really early on, I moved to LA with my wife, and the very first job I had was selling copiers. And in order to succeed, because I was on 100% commission, I went door to door, banging on doors. I've done over 20,000 cold calls. And all the no's that I heard, everyone told me no. So I began to play little games with myself. For every no I got, I was getting closer to the yes. And later on, I also realized that they weren't telling me no. They're telling me not yet. So the lesson I learned from that is you gotta persevere. You gotta continue to keep going. You never ever give up. So failure is not a failure until you quit. So one of the greatest gifts I got was being able to coach my kids in soccer from when they're little. What coaching taught me in teaching our kids is that, number one, they gotta work for it. It's all about hard work, having a great work ethic, the attitude that they bring, and never ever giving up. As a result, both of my kids were able to play Division I, and my son currently is pursuing his dream of playing pro in Germany. That's a great life lesson for everyone to learn. I'll tell myself, continue to dream big, and don't ever have anyone tell you what you can or cannot do, because they don't know you. Just because they cannot do it doesn't mean you cannot. And the second thing I'll tell them is understand that life is a journey. It is not about going from point A to point B. Yes, you have to have guidance. Yes, you have to know where you're going, but it's journey about what you learn. It's journey about the experience you go through. But most importantly, it's about a journey of who you become as a result of the journey that you're going through. My drive stems from two things. One is family. My family is everything. My wife, Janet, my two kids, Eden and Luke, they mean the world to me. They're the one who taught me to loving me unconditionally, for me to love them unconditionally. They taught me about what's to be like a family. You know, growing up without a family, I always wanted a family. Having that belonging, right? That sense of belonging. And that's what they have provided for me. I want them to know that I love them. And I want to encourage them to go out there and continue to strive and reach as far as they can go, because anything in life is possible. And the second thing is, I have this passion for kids like me who grew up under the disadvantaged situation. I want them to have hope, because by having hope, they begin to see the possibilities of what it can be. Once they see all the possibilities, I want to help them to define what their purpose in life is. And finally, help them to realize their dreams. If you believe, dreams do have wealth coming true.